Giuliani put me in jail in that big racketeering case. I beat it, but at what cost? I mean, you know.
Do you find it ironic now? Giuliani's kind of on the, the 180 of the spectrum.
I can't believe it, honestly. It's, you know,
some of the things he does, it just makes me wonder, is he...
you know, my only feeling with that is, and we...
Do you have animosity towards him?
I don't, you know. Actually, I was on a radio show with him about a year ago.
Okay.
A good friend of mine says, Mike, I want to put you on the radio. And I said, yeah, let's go on. He says, one little caveat, Rudy's going to be on the other side of this. He said, do you mind? I said, no, I want to talk to you. I've been 30 years. It was great. You know what he said, George? And I have to say, he said, I'll tell you how far it was. He said, I've been watching you for 30 years. I tried to put you away for life, which is true. He told me he's going to give me 100 years at the day of my arraignment. Right. And he said, but I think your redemption is genuine. I've been watching you. He said, so I want to compliment you on it. I said, okay. So we got off to a good start. We finished that. Everything's great. And then I write this book, Mafia Democracy, and my publisher says, hey, you think Rudy will write the forward? I said, you know what, now you're pushing it a little bit. But I said, hey, I'm not shy, I'll ask him. I asked him, and he writes this here, tremendous forward. See?
Wow.
Written by Rudy Giuliani.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Well,
he does a great job on it. So, you know what it is for me? I am, George, what's going on today, anybody that's involved with Trump, they demonize this. So I can't believe half the stuff they're saying. And I think a lot of stuff's going to come out about this guy Biden. And again, without getting into politics, George, I got to tell you this. I had, you know, we'll get into this a little bit, see your opinion. I don't know where you are politically, but that's okay. If he gets mad at me, people, it's all right. But listen, this Biden thing, he's being accused of having shell companies with approximately $20 million going into bank accounts owned by his family, right? Right. Fact. Suspicious bank records. He had 20 of these shell companies. I had 18 of them in the gas business. 18 shell companies. We didn't have a service. We didn't have a product. We did nothing. All it was collect illegal tax money that I was defrauding the government out of. Right?
You weren't paying them.
No, I wasn't paying. We were collecting the tax and defrauding them. Not paying. We figured out 8 years I ran it, right? This is the exact same thing. There's more evidence against them with emails and text messages and everything else. All I had was a witness against me. They've got everything. It's an absolute racketeering indictment. I'm not going to say he's guilty yet because everybody deserves their day in court. But the evidence is, it's an indictment without a doubt. I'm very familiar. I had 3 RICO cases, so I understand how they work. But so what I'm saying is, obviously they don't want to indict the president. I don't think that's a good precedent anyway. But anybody involved with Trump, what they're doing to this guy and to everything, so that's why I don't trust anything at all.
Well, you know, I'm not a big Trump fan, but I will tell you this. This last thing the judge found him guilty of, and they fined him $368 million. You know, the thing that I find disgusting is that the banks got all their money back. He paid all the loans off. And, you know, how many people inflate their property?
Was it trying to get like an Obama phone?
Everybody.
Every day, somebody looking for a loan.
Right, but where would you go?
Absolutely. And
you're just going to have to wait because we need to get money.
He paid them back.
Because that was supposed to be a temporary phone anyways, but you never found work. So.
Absolutely, I know that.
So how do you do this to somebody? It's insanity.
So, you know, I have to say, in all fairness, I mean, he is getting pushed around.
You know what? And it doesn't even matter that it's Trump. It's anybody that they could do this to. It's just dangerous. And you and I, having a background, knowing how far that they can go, to let them go to this extent now is it's so dangerous.
No, I know. I had a 59 count state
we'll figure something out. You'll probably be without a phone for
in 2001, 2002. And, you know, they just threw everything against the wall, thinking ultimately something would stick. And my ex-wife at the time was indicted. My oldest son was indicted. You know, in an effort to get me to make some sort of plea. And are you familiar with Tony Serra? He's a Bay Area lawyer. He did a lot of stuff in the 60s and 70s.
Know the name, yes.
He came in and was fighting the criminal case, and Barry Tarlow was fighting the bail. I mean, they wouldn't let me bail, and that was the wedge. Put the wedge on it, in Yeah, same kind of deal. And Tarlo got me bail, and as soon as I got bail, they asked me to take my insurance. So, you know, what do you do? And, you know, people jumped on me about that in my own organization at that time. They go, you made a deal. And, well, you know, you're looking at
What's wrong with that?
100 years, you know. If they offer you time served, you take the
Absolutely.
deal. Yeah, it's lofty. But, you know.
George, this last case that I took a plea on, I had been to trial 5 times. I never, ever was even 5 minutes late to court. Never. Faced the jury where I was going to get 100 years if I got convicted on the Giuliani case. Faced tons of time, never missed a court date, never was even 5 minutes late. Anytime I got arrested, I showed up. And now this case, because I beat them so many times, they hold me without bail. Now this was a fraud case. There was no violence in the case at all, right? Defrauding the government. So, you know, the 2 reasons, the 2 conditions they can hold you without bail is, number 1, you're a danger to the community. They couldn't prove that on the basis of my indictment. And number 2, you're a flight risk. Well, they could never say I was a flight risk. I always show up. They couldn't say I was a danger to the community. So you know what? They created a new statute. They said he's an economic danger to the community.
I've never heard that.
Never heard it, and you never heard it again.
No, I've never heard
Just that one time.
And I follow all this legal stuff. You know, I constantly listening to legal podcasts. My daughter's a criminal lawyer. Constantly talking to her about things and if we should have did this and should we have done that. You know, second guessing myself.
Cat?
Even years later. But it's.
I mean, apartments.
They what the they do what they want.
It's terrible.
What's the conviction rate? 98?
96, 97%.
Yeah, I mean, it's outrageous.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so George, you have a very colorful background, to say the least. But I'm interested in something, and I want to get into a discussion about it. About a year and a half ago, somebody wrote an article about the Hells Angels. Okay. I thought it was very interesting. And in comparison to my former life, because I don't like to use the word mafia, Cosa Nostra is what we call it here. And as I was reading what the rules or the policies are for Hells Angels, I was comparing it to, you know, what we went through in my former life. So I want to, if you're okay with that, that was just an article. I want to hear it from you.
Well,
and I want to say that.
Question number 1, what do you want to know?
Okay, here's the thing. When I got involved in the life and I took an oath, Halloween night 1975, it was a blood oath where I surrendered my life to Cosa Nostra. Told, this life comes before anything. If your mother is sick and dying, you're at her bedside, we call you to service, you leave your mother, you come and serve us. We're number 1 before anything and everything. And idealistically, that's what I felt about the life. I mean, it was important to me. I had a very idealistic view. I was going to be part of something my dad was part of.
That doesn't work, sir.
It meant a lot to me. How did you have that same feeling, that same brotherhood, that same feeling with the Hells Angels?
Absolutely. And I've talked about it recently. I've talked about it in the past. Old Man John.
And you were the head of the chapter, weren't you?
Well,
you were the boss.
I was a young guy in Los Angeles. There was a leader down there called Old Man John. You know, like he was one of the old timers. He was a boss. He had a lot of influence in Southern California, and he took a liking to me. And the night I got inducted into the club, standing outside, you know, by the fire, you know, it was warm. I mean, cold. I was trying to warm up.
Do me a favor. Tell us about the induction ceremony.
Well, that's what I'm going to tell you. Old Man John opened the door. You know, he yelled. He had a real
boiler.
Christy, get your ass in there. And all of a sudden, and I ran to the front door. I went in, and inside the room is the meeting room, and it's lined with Hells Angels, and everybody's sizing me up.
Could anybody attend as long as you're an angel?
You had to be an angel.
Okay.
So I've got these guys in there, their backs against the wall, and old man John asked me, he said, "Are you ready?" And I barely could say anything. I mean, that's how excited I was. I mean, I was just, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I finally squeaked out a, yeah. And he said, you know, we come first before your father, your mother, and he went right down the line. Talked to all the family members, and then at the end, he said, "Do you understand?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "You don't understand anything yet." And but you know, I was in. You know, it was okay. and he told one of the guys, he goes, throw him the patch. And, they threw me the patch, and I caught it, and I opened it up, and I extended my arms, and that was the death head, and it was staring at me. And it really looked like it was following me. I was kind of looking at it. I was looking around the room. And then, the old man says, well, put it on. And I put it on. And I was watching myself. This may sound corny or romantic to some people, but I was watching myself in kind of an image in the window. It wasn't a mirror. It was the window. And I could see my reflection. I felt I made this transition as soon as I put that patch on. And I'm sure when you got inducted,
That patch is everything, right?
Everything. It's now, and I didn't know any about that until I went to prison. I met Rosario, different individuals, and I started seeing a lot of parallels. We'd sit around, and, I don't know if you remember, I worked in the kosher kitchen with
Dude,
Sal.
what's going on?
With Rosario, yeah, he was in the kitchen.
We
Right?
were in the kosher kitchen.
That's why we ate a little better. He used to bring stuff back to my
That's
side.
right. And, he used to go upstairs, and we didn't have it like in Goodfellas where they had the stuff on ice. But he would go upstairs and he would get the different things and make the different sauces.
I was so mad at Rosario because I never drank soda, and he got me hooked on Diet Coke. That is addictive. He used to bring all the guys.
Do you want a boost?
Sal, why are you
No, I
starting
just
with
do.
me?
I just do.
Well, I got off track, but absolutely, your whole life is dedicated to the organization. I got a question for you. Like, I get asked all the time, is the Hell's Angels a
Let's go.
And my response to people when they ask me that is, it's not a criminal organization. It didn't start out as a criminal organization, but there are a lot of opportunities, and it's an organization that now has criminals in it. I don't know if that makes any sense. Or
Makes
if
a
it
lot of
sounds
sense.
hypocritical. Or, when people understand, like you guys didn't wear jackets, but everybody knew.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it opens a lot of doors, and it's like a carte blanche card.
Absolutely. And just to follow that up, the night I took an oath,
What's
we
up
didn't
with your
take an oath
teammate?
to rob, steal, murder, kill. That wasn't the oath.
We oath to each other.
That wasn't the oath at all. We take an oath of omerta, which
Right.
means silence.
Correct.
And you're not even supposed to admit that we exist. When you take that oath and you're saying, okay, I'm becoming a criminal now? No. But do you do criminal activity as a result of being part of that life? Yes. Which brings me to my next question. I was a recruit. The day that my dad proposed me for membership, because I'm sure it's similar with the Hells Angels. You just can't go up to an
Well, I
angel
proposed
and say,
my son.
yeah, you say,
Georgie.
You can't go up to somebody and say, I'd like to join. Somebody has to propose you, vouch for you. You have what it takes.
Absolutely.
In my case was my dad. And then when I sat with my boss at the time, he said to me, your dad has proposed you into this life. Is this what you want? I said, yes. He said, here's the deal. From now on, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you're on call to serve this family. And he ran that down, and he said, but you're going to have to prove yourself. He said, when and if we think you deserve or you're worthy to become a member, we'll let you know. So for the next 2.5 years, I was a recruit. I had to do anything and everything I was told to do.
Hang around period in the Hells Angels, then a prospecting period. And then even as a new member.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Okay, you may hit me back with this. What did you have to do to prove yourself?
Certainly, I had to gain everybody's trust. And there were some things that I did that I probably wouldn't do again at this point in my life. So I'll ask you the same thing.
We have the same answer, George. Listen,
We're not fools.
No. Okay. And when you reach that point, they say, okay,
This guy's. And we had a term, especially in our region, Ventura, Los Angeles and Ventura, was a gentleman named David Ortega. I used to call him David O. He was kind of he was a couple of years older, but, I was the boss. But he's the guy I went to.
Like your consigliere.
Absolutely. I went and bounced stuff off of him. I said, what do you think about this, David? What do you think of this guy? And, you know, I've got a couple of funny stories about him. If you were okay, he'd call you a regular. Guy's a regular.
One minute.
But he's a regular, you know, and that was the highest endorsement you could get in that time. And we had another guy
Arches,
that
slavery.
ultimately became a government informant guy, Tony Tate.
Yo, why leave?
Hurt a lot of guys. And the same guy went to David. I didn't like this guy, and he'd been getting high marks from a lot of the guys. I went to David and I said, "What do you think?" And he goes, "I don't like the guy." And we could never put a finger on it, so to speak. And finally, David told me, he goes, "You know what? I don't like the way he parts his hair." Just an old school guy.
Yellow.
You know, and we talked about your father earlier off camera, I think it was. That's the way David was. He's just this old school guy that had their ideals. You know, motorcycle. He was in the Question Marks Motorcycle Club when I was in high school. You know, so he not only later became a Hell's Angel, but this guy had a long tenure as a 1% outlaw biker. So yeah, you know, they expect total dedication. You know,
let me say this. You know, again, getting back to the question, did I consider Cosa Nostra a criminal organization? Well, we don't come in saying we're a brotherhood. We have each other's back.
Banana.
You know, we're a brotherhood. And
Behind
like
the
my
barrels.
dad would tell me, we didn't like law enforcement at all. My dad told me, he drilled this into my head from the time I was a kid. Like, you can never be a cop. He said, because a cop takes an oath to lock up their own mother and father if they were to commit a crime. How could you ever be like that? I said, I could never do that, you know? So he put that in my head right away. And so we automatically don't like the police. We automatically didn't mind committing crime. So, okay, we didn't call ourselves a criminal organization, but we were criminals. So I think it sounds, again, and I don't know exactly.
And no, you're absolutely right. You're not putting words in my mouth. You're absolutely right. You know what's also interesting for me? I came from all my family, both sides came from Greece, and when they got here, you know, they made their way to New York, and they made their way west, wound up in Ventura. But as an Italian, maybe you can relate to this. Kind of kept to themselves.
Yes.
They didn't trust the cops. You know, I'll tell you a funny story. In 2001, when I got that indictment, one of the houses they raided when they were trying to put the case together was my mother's. And I can't remember if it was 15,000 or 1,500. We talked earlier about the memories. You know.
Senior moments.
Yeah, it was cash. It was either 1,500 or 15,000. It was hidden in her mattress. She was still hiding money in her mattress because
one maybe
they
be
didn't
with
trust
enough.
the banks. You know.
No, I get it. I get it.
And
Let me ask you this. Some of the myths that maybe we can talk about, and one of them is this.
Oh, yeah.
When I got into the life, the night I took the oath, we went to have dinner afterwards, right? We have a banquet. All the Italians always eat, right? Wine, food, the whole bit. And one of the soldiers came in, which is an official position. That's the bottom ranking of that life, after you take the oath. Comes in with a brown paper bag. And he says, "Hey, boss, should I give all the new guys their bag of money now?" You know, the irony being, you think you come into that life and everybody's making you rich, when it's the other way around. You got to be paying up.
right.
So people think that, and I will tell you this: when I went to prison, I didn't get a quarter from anybody. My dad went away; he didn't get a dime from anybody. He had a couple of things going on the street, Shylock money. This, when that ran out, that was it. So, isn't that life takes care of you? I want to know if it's the same with the Hells Angels.
Well, it's interesting you say that because we were supposed to get $60 a month.
Really?
$60
Like a
a
stipend?
month, you know, sent to the prisons. And I'll tell you, you're lucky if you could get that some of the months. You know, you can call home, "Where's my damn money?" You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's similar. You know, it's interesting. You guys, you got inducted. You went out to dinner. You know, I got inducted in the club that night, or voted in, or however you want to describe it. We jumped on our motorcycles and rode to San Bernardino to a little old lady's house and make our patches. You know, I actually rode out there. Betty sewed my patch, my personal patch, on my jacket. So it was, you know, it was
Is that the normal routine?
Well, you know, maybe I was treated a little bit special because old man John liked me, as you probably, you know. It cuts both ways, though.
Yeah.
You get people that get jealous. You got other people that
absolutely.
they go, old man John likes me, you got to be all right.
Yeah.
So it cuts both ways. But you know, the interesting thing is, went to Betty. She was a religious woman, and
In the ground.
you couldn't smoke in there. You couldn't cuss, and when you leave,
Four.
no hot rodding down the street.
Another
That was the
M4.
3 rules. And
Interesting.
I just thought it was really
And my
funny.
M4.
So I went to Purdue. Betty sewed my patch on my jacket, and it was like a big deal. You know?
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was huge.
Let me ask you, you're of Greek ethnic background.
Yes.
Do you have to be of any ethnic background to be a Hells Angels?
Well, you know, it's interesting. There was a rumor that the motorcycle club that was fought for 30-some years, the Mongols, was started because we didn't allow Hispanics into the Hells Angels. Well, David Ortega was my right-hand man, you know. Yeah. So, you know, there's myths and there's ideas, but I will tell you this, and it's the truth. There were blacks in the Hells Angels. There were no blacks in the Hells Angels. And what happened was, along with the women, pushed out. And when Hells Angels started getting attention of law enforcement, going to prison, the Hells Angels took on the prison political color lines. The whites stick with the whites, the Mexicans stick with the Mexicans, the blacks stick with the blacks. And of course, we got painted with you know, racist brush. These guys are racist. And you know, we used to go party at the East Bay Dragons clubhouse. Sonny Barger, who
What you guys want to do?
I had a long time relationship with. It was a love-hate type relationship. He was my senior, very powerful guy in the club.
Let's go.
He would go hang out at the East Bay Dragons. They were from Oakland. So, you know, were people prejudiced? I didn't get that vibe, but we did have the political prison color lines that we adhered to.
Well, for us, your father had to be Italian.
Right.
That's it. Your father
Now,
wasn't
not your mother, but your father.
Your father had to be Italian.
Was it that way always? I was told that initially it was both. They both.
Both, and then they relaxed it to just your father. From what I understand, they might have gone back for security reasons now to mom and dad. I haven't heard much about it. Both have to be Italian. But you just said something I don't want to overlook. Women can be involved in the club?
They were at one time. But there's a famous, maybe, well, there's two of them that were very famous. It was Garbage Head, who actually had the tattoo, the small death head. That was the first
That's
death
your
head
teammate, bro.
when we made a transition to a different style.
X
She had
marks the
tattoo,
spot.
the small death head on her back. And there was another woman called Mother Ruth. And she got that name Mother Ruth because she liked the little younger guys that would come around the club.
Interesting.
But yeah, there were women.
No women. Wasn't on, at least not till today. as
Not
far
even
as
when
I
their
know.
husbands go to jail?
No, but in Italy,
That's
in
what I
Italy,
understood.
yes. Mafia, yes. But here, no. If I have to say something, it's okay. You're the boss. I'm a biker now. Yeah, I'm accepted, standard or whatever. I come to you, hey boss, I got a drug deal. I want to rob the bank, or I want to rob the government out of X amount of dollars. Am I okay to do that?
Well, you know, I would probably immediately think, is this guy recording me? I have a very paranoid personality, but I would probably say, from a leader and a political and whatever standpoint, if you want to go out and do that stuff, don't involve me, don't involve the club. You know, we have a very strict rule that there was a guy sitting in a meeting next to me. He had a cast. Inside the cast was a bud. And he came to the meeting, and he wanted the full presidents, the meeting room. There's probably 15,
One more V.
20 presidents in there. And he wanted permission to blow up the outlaws in Kentucky. He specifically, you know, wanted to go after those guys. And we are not allowed to talk about anything like that in a meeting. No criminal activity.
That's interesting. We differed quite a bit in that. Well, my boss would have said to me, no drugs.
That's
We
guy
weren't
made-
allowed to deal with
Okay,
drugs. You
yeah.
deal with drugs, you die in that life.
Right.
But anything else, if he would have approved, as long as I get a
What
kickback,
can I make out of it?
that's it.
Yeah.
25%.
I think that, you know, we had a slogan in the club. It was a sarcastic position we took. I don't know what year it was. It was the early 80s, but the organized crime list came out. And, of course, Cosa Nostra #1, and the Hells Angels were #2 at this particular time. Now, I don't know who made this up, if somebody sitting behind a desk in Washington, but they had said, now, these guys are becoming the mafia on wheels. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
Yeah, well, the thought process was it was a criminal organization, just did things differently. I always thought that. But now some of the things you're telling me, I don't think so.
No, it was an organization established for motorcycling, brotherhood, but when you start getting all this police pressure and, you know, you've got a job, I'll give you a perfect example. I got a guy who joins my crew in Ventura. He's a young guy, maybe when I say young, you know, in his late 20s, early 30s. He's got a regular job. He's a truck driver for a company, a distributor. He's distributing stuff, driving around. And the intelligence unit goes to his boss. Did you know so-and-so is doing this? And he's involved with these guys. He got fired. That happened a lot to us. And, you know, what does the guy do? He resorts to his wits on the street. You know, he's got to make ends meet. He's got a family. He's got to provide for. He's got kids and a wife and whatnot. So is it his fault? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, because he consciously makes a decision. I can't make it here, but I can make it over here because I got some opportunities. I have some brothers over here that said this, and I think that it creates, in a sense, just the machine, the way it is. It eats itself up. It creates somebody that may turn to criminal activity. You know.
Well, let me ask you this, because you said when you were inducted, I'll use that word, they said the Hells Angels comes before anything and anybody.
Absolutely.
Mother, father. So what does that mean? You know, like, how would it come before your mother or father? Give me an example of that.
Well, I think you gave a perfect example earlier. I'm at the hospital with my mom or dad, and they're dying. An old man John called me and says, you know, get your ass down here. You know, one time he called me down there. I'll tell you a interesting story. I walked into a room with guys talking. And, you know, some people out there may go, oh, Jesus, man, he just said they weren't a criminal organization, but yet this is transpiring. I walk into this room, and there's these guys in there, and they're talking about blowing these other guys up. So I just stopped immediately. I just come out of the military. I worked for the Department of Defense at the time. My tenure with them ended when they found out I was leader of the Los Angeles Hells Angels. You know, they threatened to take away my top security clearance and whatnot. But anyways, I
can almost understand that.
really. So I walk into this room, and these are guys. It's a small group of guys, are very energetic, down for the cause. They want to blow these guys up, and then I start questioning them. I go, that's dangerous. Have you thought about collateral damage? You know, they were like, what's collateral damage? You know,
Right.
And I go, the innocent people around when you blow these guys up.
Sure.
So I left. They went ahead, built the bomb, put it at this motorcycle place, and it didn't go off. And because I had complained and I said I wouldn't participate, some of them went to John and said, hey, this guy might not be no good. He wouldn't get involved with us. So what do I have to do? I've got to go recover the bomb. And that's what I did. I went and recovered the bomb.
So that you were ordered?
I was ordered by John to go recover the bomb. I said, why me? I didn't place it there. We got to make sure you're okay. There's people that are starting to doubt because you complained, George.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm sure, and as time passed, and I'm sure they did this to you guys, they created doubt. The cops. Is that guy?
Yeah, they try to plant stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Any tactic that they could use.
Sometimes life serves you a beautiful autumn sunset, paired with the perfect song and great company. If that perfect song comes to an end while you're listening on Pandora Plus, You can replay it as many times as you want. Upgrade to Pandora Plus and get ad-free music, unlimited skits, and replays. Start your free Pandora Plus trial now.
Hey everyone, welcome to another sit down with Michael Francis. Hope everybody's doing well. And today we have part 2 with Agent Joe Stone, the real Donnie Brasco. The comments that came in about our first interview were off the hook. You people really loved it. You enjoyed it. It was great. You heard information you never heard anywhere else. You never saw it in the movie, just different stuff. And wait till you hear what's coming up next. Part 2, Agent Donnie Brasco, Joe Pistone. Stay tuned.
After it came out who I was in the papers, right? Sonny knows that he's kind of, because, you know, he introduces me to Santo Trafficante. He introduces me to, I mean, you know.
Everybody, yeah, that mean.
Everybody. So he kind of knows that he's got a problem. So he gets, and you probably know this, I mean, he gets a phone call that he's got to go to a sit down. And this is really true because I got it from his girlfriend at the time, who I knew. I'll get to that. He walks in the Motion Lounge. Now,
Yeah, they're pushing
to
banana. I'm kind of isolated.
this is a guy that you got to respect. Like your dad. I told you this before. I had a lot of respect for your dad because this is the way it is. And this is the way it is. And he didn't take a step off that path. Sonny walks into the Motion Lounge, says to the bar, takes off his diamond ring, gives it to the bartender, takes his money, gives it to the bartender, takes all the keys but the keys to his caddy, and says, I'm going to sit down, and I'm probably not going to come back.
T-side apps. It was T-side apps.
How many guys are going to do that?
Joe, I'll be honest with you. I don't think I would have done it. So, you know.
No. So then he calls his lady friend and says, I want you to get in touch with Donnie. And you tell Donnie that, I don't have any ill feelings toward him. I loved him. He was just better than us. And he never flaked us.
Wow.
All right?
Yeah.
And how we know is that later, you know, then he goes and they whack him. And then his lady friend calls the FBI and so we meet in Washington and she relays that story to me. Now that
had to get to you.
That brought some tears, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but that's the kind of guy he was, you know. I mean, how many guys are going to do that? I mean, you know you're going to go. He knows it. Why would he give all that stuff up?
Yeah.
And then say to the bartender, you know, I got to go to a sit down, and I'm probably not going to come back.
That's man, I didn't know that, but I mean,
yeah, that came right from Drew, his lady friend.
Yeah, I guess in the movie Donnie Brasco, they tried to show that with Lefty.
They made the Lefty character that, yeah.
But you know, not too many people know that, so that's really good information. I'll tell you, Joe. Yeah, you know, let me ask you this too, because was Sonny looking to propose you? I mean, you were going to get straightened out.
One banana, last banana.
Yeah, in fact, that conversation again took place at Christmas. And the first thing he said to me, Michael, he said, Donnie, he said, let me ask you something. I said, yeah. He said, you ever have any drug arrests? I said, no, never been arrested for drugs. I said, I did some time. And one thing you never do is say you did time in a penitentiary, because
right.
I can't talk about, you know. I said, you know, I did 10, 15 days in the county.
If you say you're in a penitentiary, there was too many of us everywhere, you know, we would ask too many questions.
Could I sit down and talk about life of the.
Hey,
you
let's
know,
go meet him. Let's just first
who
meet.
who the guard was.
They've been pretty light on it lately.
So he said this was we closed the operation in July, so this might have been. It was right after the hits, May 5th. The hits were May 5th when they killed the three captains, right?
Right.
And he said the books are going to open up in December. He said, I propose you for membership. And I think he said, everybody gave you a thumbs up. That's what he said to me. So I don't know if that's the way it actually works, but he said, everybody at the, he said that.
Do you know where he is?
And you're going to get made in December. So.
Yeah, just so you know, Joe, you probably noticed, but what they do, at least in my case and a lot of cases, when they propose somebody, they're supposed to put your name on the list and send it around to all the families and say if there's any
he said
objection.
He said you got thumbs up from everybody. So whether
Well, let me ask you this, Joe, because we know that in that life, in order to get straightened out, you got to make your bones.
Right.
So were they talking about that in some way, or they would have put you in a position to? I mean, I know that would have been something that you couldn't do, but
yeah, exactly. Well, they gave me the contract for Bruno.
Sonny Red's son.
Yeah, because he was supposed to show up for that sit down that they were going to have. When they whacked the three guys, he didn't show. So Sonny calls me into the Motion Lounge. We go in the back. I mean, I knew they had whacked the three guys because Lefty had told me. He said, we got those three guys. So Sonny says, look, he said, Bruno was supposed to show. He didn't show. He said, I'm giving you the contract. We had a deal. When I say we had a deal with the FBI. So Sonny sent me to Miami to look for him, actually. Because he thought he was down in Miami. And the deal was, if I found him, I'd call the Bureau.
Okay.
We make it look like a hit. Or if the Bureau grabbed him, we'd stage a hit. But later on, I find out that I was supposed to be on that cleanup crew.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then at the last minute, they
called you off?
They called me off, yeah.
Yeah, I knew Bruno very well back then. Yeah, that was the best meeting he ever missed.
Yeah, sure. And Sonny told him because he probably was all coked up.
Yeah, back then, probably very likely, yes.
And that's why he sent me to Miami. He says, we know he's got, connections down there, and that's where we think. But he wasn't down there. Because I went to I went down there looking. And
you bring up something good now. And I talk about this, and a lot of YouTubers that make comments all the time. I tell them, listen, we were not the major drug dealers at that time. When I got straightened out, it was all 5 families. If we dealt with